Hello, and welcome back to Why Geopolitics Matters, the podcast. This week's episode will be covering the remnants of the Wagner Group, the return of Somali pirates, and the Houthi threat to energy costs. So let's get into it. We're going to start with our fun topic, though, and that is going to be on the World Cup. What a ride! Didn't expect it to go the way that it did, but it was pretty amazing to see all those countries going as far as they did. Seeing Spain win, beat Argentina. I don't know about you, but there's been lots of controversy around it, petitions that they needed to do a do-over. There's been all kinds of stuff going on since then. So what did you guys think?
I think probably the biggest thing to pick out is the 23 million signatures on the petition to get Argentina out indefinitely from the World Cup. Like, it's a
I
Wow.
didn't know
massive
it got
thing.
that high.
It was like, I think it almost broke the record, the Guinness World Record for the most signed petition in the world. Just by, I think it was short by like a million, but still, like 23 million people wanted Argentina out permanently, which is it's just crazy.
Wow, that's crazy. I didn't knew it about that, but of course that you can see on social media, like all these people, all these fights between, um, well, people supporting Argentina because of Messi and people supporting Spain because of Messi as well, because they don't like too much. But I don't know what to say. I mean. Uh, uh, like in some situations you can start to think like what is happening with Argentina. It looks like I don't know if you can say that they have like an special treat from FIFA, but sometimes it looks like. But anyways, the result is here. Spain won. So you can have like this kind of conspiracy ideas, but at the end, Argentina lose. So that's it.
Yeah, exactly. There's also been some controversies in the UK as well. The A lot of people have been calling in on these radio shows saying that the Argentinians that play in the Premier League need their visas revoked so they can't play there anymore. I don't know if you've seen any of that. And I was like, that seems extreme. But like the most controversial player, Enzo, he plays for Chelsea. So that's going to be really interesting when he goes back after the England game and how he was treating a lot of his fellow players and whatnot. So it was definitely a wild ride with the World Cup.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
especially that there is like, isn't it like the FBI who is opening an investigation about the Argentinian uh, Football Federation about like some money laundering issues, some stuff like that. So
Wow.
there's been like plenty of rumors about Argentina
That's
in this World
wow. That sounds a really extreme situation. I don't know what to think. I mean, there's like a lot of ideas, but to be honest, I didn't pay attention a lot of them. I just thinking like, okay, Mexico is not in the final, so like whatever what happens, it's okay to me.
But I
Yeah.
have to say, there was like this comparison between the Argentinian supporters being like extremely rude to other supporters
Mhm.
and Mexican people and Mexican supporters who were just like in the streets celebrating with everyone. Like, just like having this massive communion with anyone, and that was amazing to see.
Yes, yes, it's crazy. It's really crazy how the people were enjoying the whole World Cup around the streets of Mexico City or the other places like Guadalajara or Monterrey. But yeah, it was also kind of contradictory in that situation because after Mexico lose against England, all the people start, or well, a lot of people start to support Argentina because the like the Latin American brotherhood that
Yeah.
that we can have. But on the other hand, there's a lot of people supporting Spain because it's like no, 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 we hate Argentina. So it's like it's really hard to decide in this kind of topics. It's people is taking too seriously in to my opinion. But well, um, it is what it is.
Yeah, it was definitely an interesting outcome in the end. So, if you are listening, you should also check out one of our articles about FIFA and sports washing. So make sure to visit our website. We've got a really great overview of what happens when sports and politics collide. But now we'll move into our topics. We're going to start with the Wagner Group.
So, in a recent article, the Wall Street Journal showed that Wagner's remnants are running an opioid empire in the Central African Republic. Since arriving in 2018, Wagner helped the Central African Republic governments regain territory from armed groups, but it also embedded itself deeply in the country's political economy, mainly through mining concessions, protection rackets, and also influence over key institutions. What began as a military deployment increasingly became a parallel system of governance. So after the deaths of Yevgeny Prigozhin and Moscow's efforts to rebrand parts of Wagner under the Africa Corps, CAR remained one of the clearest examples of continuity rather than rupture. So recent reporting indicates that several hundreds of Wagner remnants still operates there, especially along the upper Ubangui River, where they control or facilitates a tramadol-based trafficking network. So the drug is used both as a stimulant for miners working in Wagner-linked gold mines, and as well as battlefield fuel for fighters before combat. In that sense, tramadol is not just a commodity, it has become a part of the operational infrastructure of the violence. This development matters because it shows how Wagner-linked actors are diversifying beyond mining into a broader criminal economy. So the same network implicated in gold extraction and timber smuggling now appear connected to opioid trafficking. Fuel monopolies and cross-border logistics into neighboring states. The Global Initiative Against Transnational Organized Crime describes this environment as a violent ecosystem in which coercion, corruption, and market control are fused into one structure. That framework helps explain why the Central African Republic has become a testing ground for a hybrid model and of for an influence that mixes security, business, and organized crime. Strategically, CAR is important because it illustrates the resilience of post-Prigozhin Wagner network, and even where formal Russian control has increased, local remnants seem able to operate with substantial autonomy, protected by their integration into local security and also political structures. For analysts, the key point in that is that CAR is no longer just a case of mercenary involvement. It is a case study in how armed foreign actors can evolve into an entrenched criminal political system with regional spillover effects. So what is very interesting, and we can directly link it to the involvement of Russia in the Sahel region, is that there's actually two paths that have been taken. One where we see that the Africa Corps is a very militarized structure that is assisting local government, local juntas, and potentially as well other militias in the Sahel. Whereas in the Central African Republic, it started the same way, but then erupted as a form of hybrid model where they also diversified their source of income from the very basic mining concessions to as well drug trafficking. So it would be interesting to see if this could evolve as well in the Sahel region. But seeing it already in Central African Republic is a serious step and serious evolution of this group. Could be seen as well in other non-state armed groups. So definitely another source of interference in Central African Republic, especially knowing the issues of corruption in the countries and directly linked to the Russian involvement in these countries.
Yeah, it's such an interesting fallout from what happened with Prigozhin and his group. So Russia is really trying to have their influence in the region. Of course, nobody is immune from that fallout. And of course, there's going to be groups that will try to splinter off, and for his son to kind of take up his mantle and try to establish dominance. But it seems that it's been a lot more low key in the way that he is going about it. Infiltrating all these different sectors like drug trade and the gold mines. And we don't know how much influence the Russian government has on him. So, is he working with them? Is he doing his own thing? Like, how much of that is still being overseen by a state government for this non-state actor is definitely something worth looking into, especially for the Central African government.
Yeah, and I guess they still act, I would say, as neo mercenaries, new mercenaries in the region, and that was the creation of Wagner, being basically a mercenary for local governments, with still the shadow of Russia and of its foreign involvement behind.
Yeah. I think that it's incredible how it's working all this system. Like it's fascinating. The how clever you have to be to get all this structure of criminality. I mean, it's not just a drug story. I think that it's like it's a state capture story where narcotics happen to be the currency. It's like I like this term about that. What's the name of the opioid? I forget.
Tramadol.
Yeah, it's called the cocaine of poor people. So
It's true. It's a cheap drug. It's widely used. I used to work at a doctor's office and it was prescribed a lot, so it's not unheard of. I think there is a generic version of it, so it's very widely available.
yeah, absolutely. So it's fascinating how Wagner's remand is not running a cartel inside the CAR. It's running a parallel state because it's
Well,
a
yeah.
really big structure. We are not talking just about the process of the trafficking drugs. We are talking about a structure of the working in gold mines, the structure of how you distribute the drugs, and all behind them it looks like a proper structure of a state. It's
Yeah,
crazy to me.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you're right. It's like completely built into the infrastructure of the country, so it's helping prop up the government at the same time.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So it'll be really interesting to see now that this report has come out of what the next steps Russia will do to seek either influence or try to shut it down or try to take it over. So it'll be interesting going forward what kind of fallout will happen with this group.
Yeah. And something else that I'm looking here that I didn't get it at all, like the full idea, because when you are talking about drug trafficking, usually you are talking about illegal substances.
Mm-hmm.
But according with United Nations drug conventions, about the drug conventions, the tramadol it's legal
Mm-hmm.
technically.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's a prescribed drug. It's not legal.
yes,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But it's really weird how you can use this kind of legal prescribed drugs in the same way that you are using, well, in other drug cartels or in other parts of the world, the heroin of fentanyl,
Mm-hmm.
because I
Well,
mean,
fentanyl is actually used for medical purposes. So I think, it's part of anesthesia. So
mm,
that is a legal drug, but it is trafficked in a way kind of like tramadol is in the CAR. So, but on a different scale. So it's more of a worldwide issue, not just like a very targeted area, because people
yeah,
work all these really difficult jobs so that they can keep on working and that sort of thing. So that structure is really interesting as well.
I would compare it directly. I mean, the way that it is, they are using a legal substance. Uh, I could directly say that other non-state armed groups, mainly radical Islamist groups in the Sahel region, are actually using um, cigarettes, and there's like illegal cigarette traffics
Yeah.
mm,
going on in the Sahel, and so they are using exactly like completely legal substance, but for their own. I mean, trafficking it for their own purposes, and it's a way, actually, a very lucrative way of obtaining money to fuel other organizations. So it's definitely not surprising to see legal substances being used and, let's say, abused as part of illegal traffics.
Yeah, it's a very, very interesting subject, and it'll be good to see what happens with that, the whole structure of how the remnants of the Wagner Group is going to be going forward in the CAR. So now we're going to pivot over to Manuel, and we're going to talk about the return of the Somali pirates in the Horn of Africa. Can you tell us more about that?
yeah, for sure. Yeah, still remaining in Africa. Current situation. Well, I found out this really interesting because in the first instance, I think that the title of news are like kind of uh, uh, interesting. So the Somali pirates are back. It sounds like a sequel of the movie of Tom Hanks. I don't know if you watch it. I forgot the name, but it's based on true facts. With Tom Hanks as a captain, that it's the captain of a ship that it's uh,
Captain Phillips?
yeah, Captain Phillips. That's
Yes, yes.
yeah, I don't remember exactly when it was released, but it was in the 2010, something like that. So we
Yeah.
are talking about almost 20 years. And in that moment, it was based on the real attacks of the Somali pirates at the beginning of the 2000 years. So that's why this news, it sounds like the sequel of this movie. Somali pirates are back after around 2 decades, 20 years. Um, but the interesting thing is the coalition that beat them is not coming. So in the recent, I want to think that it's like the last 2 months, maybe, or in a couple of weeks. So you can hear about numerous recent pirate attacks, especially the hijacking of three merchants vessels off in the Horn of Africa. So it's pretty close to the Somali coast, and well, it took years of a coordinated effort by multinational naval coalitions, the shipping industry, and the international organizations to get rid of pirates in the Western Indian Ocean and the Gulf of Aden. So I think, yeah, since 2016, so 10 years ago, many observers had viewed Somali piracy as yesterday's problem. So we are trying to say that it was something, it was a successful operation, all the effort against piracy. But however, piracy did not disappear at all. It simply went dormant. Somali piracy is now emerging amid a change in the geopolitical environment and Somalia deep in humanitarian crisis. So the recent attacks show how pirate tactics in intent remain unchanged from 15 years ago. But a simple return to past counter-piracy methods led by large multinational coalitions is unlikely given today's security environment. What is happening now? They are coming like stronger, with more technology, with a more how to say it, like a really developed network of administration, and so it's really hard to understand how people is really focusing, like using knowledge, using effort, using time and technology, and a lot of money, of course, um, in these illegal and criminal actions. But it's happening. So the thing is that now Somali piracy follows a familiar playbook from an earlier era, sizing down on motherships, using skips to strike vulnerable merchant vessels, and holding vessels for multi-million dollar ransoms. So this is a really crazy situation, mostly because according with this data that in the last weeks that we have, the Somalis are not working alone in this case. According with the information and the sources, they are being like getting a really big budget from the Yemen's Houthis. So that's also a kind of issue when you can see how these criminal actions are supported, but well, it's hard to declare a position about this. But with the Strait of Hormuz in the situation that currently is, and these Somali pirates attacks coming back after almost 2 decades, supported by the Yemen's Houthis, well, we can see that the geopolitical situation in this part of Africa, it's getting crazy.
I think we can also maybe socially link it to Al Shabaab, the radical Islamist groups in Somalia that is still quite effective and impactful in Somalia. I mean, institutions are definitely also running an important role because Somalia is facing failing institutions, um, is facing as well, like, I mean, it seems like the Somalian armies are facing and are struggling to counter radical Islamist groups, mainly Al Shabaab. So this entire social situations just seems rather logical that piracy then started that basically.
Yeah, and there's not a whole lot of outside help for Somalia. The international community isn't really showing up for Somalia anymore. I know the United States is not really interested in helping Somalia anymore. They're more interested in banning anybody from coming in to the US. So it's more of a domestic, trying to keep the Somalis out of America. They're not really concerned about security for the country. They should be more concerned because this is the region of the world that Trump has decided he needs to go to war with. And having somebody in the region be your ally, supporting them, having somebody there who can launch from Somalia. I know they're already in Djibouti and they're already in a lot of the Gulf ally areas, but it's going to become more of a problem when the Red Sea is in a bigger jeopardy than it already is. So it's something that the international community should be paying attention to, and basically for human life, human rights, and combating non-state actors. So this is something that people should be paying attention to because it starts out small and it just kind of balloons and gets bigger and bigger, and then it spirals out of control.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And something that caught my attention as well, it's like how this it's linked or enhanced with the other topics that we are talking about, the drug trafficking and the situation that also you're gonna mention about the Houthis. Like we are not talking about, or yes, we are talking about like different situations in different countries of Africa. They're actually the same underlying theme. Like what happens in ungoverned and territorial space when the great power coalitions that used to police it walk away.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
You're
we have
absolutely right.
Somalia, like 10 years ago or more than 10 years ago, this Atalanta mission that's currently the only country of NATO that is still working in this Atalanta process is Spain. But we are talking that they are using less than the 50% of the ships that they are used to when they start the mission.
So
So
interesting.
what happened in 2022 with the intrusion of Russia to Ukraine, and NATO, it was focusing in the security of the countries here in Europe, uh, all the tactics on all the resources to focus in the security of this side of the world. So when they are doing also this supporting this mission in the coast of Somalia, well, of course, we are talking like for the last 4 years, they are not exactly focusing or taking a lot of care in these topics. And that could be one of the reasons that Somalia piracy is back again. So it's a pretty big example, no? You have Somalia or Somalia coast with the supporting of other, as mentioned in the article, great power coalitions
Hmm.
that they are not there anymore. And I think that it's the same that it's happening with the trafficking and this second or these parallel state forces. Uh, it's really interesting.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely going to get more interesting as time goes on. So we're still going to stay in the same region because, as you said, we are also going to be talking about the Houthi threat that is happening in the Red Sea. So, at the beginning of the US Israel Iran crisis, many people were concerned about Houthi militant groups in Yemen. This group is believed to be influenced and financed by the Iranians, as well as in opposition to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And last week, those fears of Houthi involvement have come to fruition, as they have claimed to have launched strikes on 2 Saudi oil tankers. And they've also announced a naval blockade on the shipping vessels that are linked to Saudi Arabia. This is breaking the 2022 truce between the Houthis and the Saudis, and this truce collapsed after the attack on the Sana'a airport to stop an Iranian plane landing and provoked the Houthis to fire ballistic missiles at Saudi territory. Retaliation from each side has escalated with an attack aimed at oil installations in Yanbu, which is Saudi Arabia's principal West Coast export gateway. So this is right next to the Red Sea, and connected to the Red Sea is the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, and is another crucial choke point that connects the Red Sea to the Gulf of Aden. And it is the backup route for the Saudis to export their oil. There are some vessels that are passing through at this time. I believe the couple of Chinese tankers have gone through, and it seems that the Houthis are specifically targeting Saudi tankers. The threat is disrupting the flow of maritime traffic, which is impacting energy costs and causing delays in transport, where 12% of global trade passes through. This is not just energy sources, this is actual product as well. We also saw this week that oil has surged past $100 a barrel, which was last seen in May earlier this year. And the global supplies of energy have already been reduced to 10% due to the Iran war and the ensuing fighting over the Strait of Hormuz. But with this closure of the Strait, Bab el-Mandeb Strait in the Red Sea, could see global oil supplies fall a further 7%, according to the global trade intelligence site Kepler. So this is something that people already feel the shocks of with the price of gas and price of oil, but it's also going to pretty much double. And it's something that's really big threat. And this is something that the United States is really should be more concerned about. Why aren't they in there trying to get the Saudis and the Houthis to start talking to each other again? The Saudis are supposed to be our allies, and it doesn't seem that they're trying to de-escalate the situation. Any thoughts from you guys?
Well, I guess it's just like a continuation of uh, this global fight in the region. I guess the Houthis are also highly supported by the Iranian government, and the fact that Saudi Arabia still has some, I think, some American bases might also influence the actions of the Houthis against Saudi Arabia. So would be interesting how it goes, because I guess they also have the keys to secure the straits, and they could definitely go full war, full scale war against the Houthis. Uh, but I'm not sure that they would. Maybe they would join the international coalition to secure the straits. I know that there's actually an important French mission in the region to secure the ships, commercial ships in the region.
Yeah, but look how like the United States blockaded the blockade of Iran, and like it was like sorry, but it's just a little bit like, was it effective? Did anything go through?
Yeah,
But it's
got you.
also the Houthis have been able to prove that they're much more mobile. Their guerrilla tactics are a lot more effective against the United States. I think the United States spent several $billion trying to attack the Houthis. I think it was either a couple months ago or last year. I can't remember where I read it, but they weren't really able to make a dent in any of their uh, group's infrastructure, of taking any of their leaders out, because I mean, the United States, they've got that full military backing. It's enormous. But are they able to combat against the little guy with these guerrilla tactics? It's something that we've been thinking about for a really long time.
Yeah, yeah. I think that that's correct. I mean, something that it's like the choke point of this issue. It's like you have the Hormuz closed,
Mhm.
and Saudi Arabia had been routing 3 to 5 million barrels a day through the Red Sea, and the Bab el Mandeb, Bab el Mandeb,
Yeah.
yeah, to bypass it. So close that too, and you hit both of the regions exist at once. So it's we are talking about the 5% of global oil. So it's really it's a really big tension situation. Um, Also, I think that you can we are talking about the 25% of world oil and gas supply at risk, with all these operations and the blockade of the blockade. I don't think that it's working at all. It's it's you have to restructure a tactical inside war to, so it's really hard to get like a complete point of view, because like all the parts website or its side or the Houthis or Iran, they are not having at all the ethics to do all these things that they are doing. But at the end, this is part of a different war. It's not just about Hormuz. It's not just about the Red Sea. We are talking about the situation between the Western and Eastern, that it's resumed in this situation and is taking the risk of the 25% of the world oil and gas supply.
I think what they're doing is actually very clever. Is that they are hitting where it hurts the most, which is money, and they are not having let's say it's not really a regular war. It's a disruptive war, and it's not necessarily impacting their own economies because they are quite secured about that, but it's impacting the global world economy. And by impacting the global world economy, it's impacting the US, Europe, very importantly, but the US as well. And it's, let's say, entrenching more and more other countries' dependencies onto, and like in Europe, we're directly facing our dependencies on our exports of gas and petrol. So it's hitting not only the Americans, but as well other countries that are, if they are, let's say, if they are not supporting the US, they are at least not saying a thing directly on the international scene.
Yeah, it is going to be a big impact, and it does not help a lot of developing countries who don't have any reserves. They've already gone through their reserves of gas and oil, so they're having difficulty getting back online. Many places have cut back their school, they've cut back their going into work. The energy crisis is very real, and then you've also got the sanctions that the EU has put onto Russia, and they're not able to benefit from this global crisis. Shadow tankers and all of that, they're still able to, but that's for another podcast.
Yeah.
We can go over that at another time. But I think this is a really interesting episode, especially covering Africa. It's ignored a lot. I'm glad we got to coordinate all of our topics this week. So on behalf of Antoine, myself, and Manuel, thank you very much for joining us today. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts, and we will catch you next time for Why Geopolitics Matters. Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
For more articles on why geopolitics matters, don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter at whygeopoliticsmatter.com.